This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so in previous class we just did the installation. One second. So we did the installation, okay, and various components, and basically we did a multi-node installation. Now we will see a centralized authentication system. So normally what we have is, okay, I'll tell you what will have be there in an enterprise. See, if you just install a Hadoop somewhere, okay, so you will have multiple servers available, right? So Hadoop is a distributed and clustered environment, so that multiple servers will be there. So you have a requirement of having the same user ID across all the hosts. See, if you can create the users locally on any system. In Unix, we have a user add option available, or add user or user add. And even if it's a Windows, we have an option to create that user locally. So in that case, the problem is in an enterprise, everyone will have an ID and password, right? But if you create the user locally, you have to assign the password separately. That means you have to, I mean, as an end user, you may have to remember n number of password. So in order to overcome that, so they will be using a centralized or single sign-on mechanism, so that they will have a one credential, okay, and will be using that across all environment. For this purpose, we can use Active Directory. Okay, so Active Directory is a Windows tool that is used for building a centralized authentication mechanism. So we call the term AD. And there is actually there is an in AD, the protocol they are using is Ldap. So Ldap stands for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, so which is used for maintaining this user credential. So with AD, you can store multiple data. So not only the user ID and password, you can have a user ID, password, and its manager name, then desk number, all those information you can store in AD. So what happens if any employee onboard to an organization, the first step they will do is create his ID in AD. So they have some ID creation policies, like so they use the first name, last name, and something, or they use some first name, first letter from the first name. It's all based on the policy that that organization follows. So what they will do, they will create in AD. So AD is a centralized entity that is used for creating user credential. So along with username and password, so they can store lot of other data also. I'm not going in depth about Ldap protocol. The protocol they are using in AD is Ldap. Hi Prashant.
Morning.
Yeah, sorry. We were talking about the centralized authentication that use in an enterprise. So what is the plus and minus if we use a local user? If we are creating a local user, so you have a number of servers available, and it's very difficult to track this. The second is you have to maintain different credential for each machine, and you have to keep a track of n number of credential, right? So in our case, we have 4 or 5 different machines. So each machine has its own credentials. So in order to keep a centralized authentication, we have a protocol available, Ldap. Ldap stands for Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, and Ldap is just a protocol, like we call NFS or HTTP. It's a protocol, and there are different implementations available. So one is AD. So AD stands for Active Directory, so which is a product from Windows. And we have another tool called OpenLDAP. So OpenLDAP from, I think it's from open source. And there is another free IPA. So that this is from Red Hat. Okay. So AD and free IPA provide LDAP plus Kerberos. Okay, we will see what is Kerberos later. And here AD also LDAP plus Kerberos. But Open LDAP will just provide an LDAP service alone. So what we'll do, so we will try to create an Active Directory, and we will integrate our servers with this ID, so that if you create a user here, so that user ID will be available across all the Linux boxes. And AD can be integrated with the Windows also. In that case, whatever the ID you created here can be used for a login here. So this is what in an enterprise level they will work, but they have a very strong AD, and it's all replication enabled, and also multiple domain servers will be available. But here we are going to install a simple Active Directory service, and our requirement is to integrate this AD with all our Linux boxes. Okay, so first understand what is AD. AD is just an LDAP implementation, and it's a Microsoft tool, and it's available with Windows Server distributions. So you can install this AD and configure AD within few clicks. The second type of implementation is OpenLDAP. OpenLDAP just provide an LDAP service. So this is from open source, and AD will provide Ldap service plus Kerberos. So Ldap is a directory service. The directory service means the one which we use for uh, storing the credential. So but here for the time being we are just using user ID and password and its group. But apart from user ID, password and group, there are a lot of things that we can store in LDAP service. I mean in AD or in free IPA or open LDAP. So some of them are like so you can store your manager information, you can store your t-shirt size, then desk number, the location, all those details are coming from AD. So AD will be integrated. I mean, there are a lot of applications and tools that is all integrated with AD. So that is why you are able to log in Skype using your credential. So in your machine or VMware or VDI or or local machine, that is also integrated with AD. There may be some intranet application that there also you will be able to log in with your employee ID and password. So the reason is that is also might be integrated with AD, and all the Linux or Windows boxes that is also integrated with the AD. Okay, AD is the tool used for centralized authentication, and it's a Windows based implementation. But again, we are not going in depth on AD, but we are just going to install and configure the one which we needed just for integrating with our services. Okay, so we will go ahead and install one Windows server here. Okay, so launch instance, go to community AMI, then just search Windows Server 2019. I don't know which one to choose. 2016. I think I already used some AMI earlier, but I don't know that is available. So you may be thinking, okay, from where I got this. So nothing, like I just did couple of tests on these VMs, and I felt okay, this is good, and which is needed, and maybe considering the price and all, I choose this one. Okay, but again the size is all based on the size of the machine we choose, but other configurations and all I felt this is but I think that is no more. So the problem with the community AMI is if you choose this one, but after some time it won't be there. But still, we will just check with the Windows Server 2012, because I think I tested 2012. Again, I'm not very expert in Windows configurations, but I think we can choose this one. Okay, this is okay, 64-bit. Okay, that is all fine. And Server 2002 release 2. I'm choosing this one. And we don't need a very higher end setup. So 2 vCore, and later if it's needed, we can just expand this. Okay, 2 and 4. So 2 CPU and 4 gig RAM. Then number of instances. So we need one only. But here you need to choose this Windows Server also in the same network and subnet. The reason is uh, the other machines you created, like we have 4 or 5 Linux machines, right? That should be able to communicate with this AD server, because we are using this AD server to uh, get centralized authentication from this AD. Okay, all the machines should be able to connect. Only one shortcut, you need to choose the same network and subnet that you use for the deploying other machines. So in my case, I choose the default one for that. So choosing the same default. So the remaining things as it is. And also I'm just taking a public IP address here. Okay. So use a subnet setting that is enabled. So I need a public IP for this one, so that I should be able to connect. Then add storage. So how much I need. So I just I don't need any much space. I'm not going to store anything over here, but I'm still using 40 gig. Maybe I think this is good enough to install operating system and do our job. And this is all choosing the default. Delete on termination. So it's always better to choose this one. The reason is, if you terminate this VM, so your disk also will get terminated. So adding tag. So tag, if you can, is an optional one. You can ignore. Network security group. Choose the same thing which you use. Okay. Anything. Okay. This is all wide open. Like all the traffic are opened. But in actual case, you may choose the network settings like that. So within that subnet or within that group, all we can restrict the outside communication and only for particular IP and all. But that is all AWS NSG network security configuration. Basically, it's a firewall from AWS side, like which machine can connect, which machine cannot connect. But if you are keeping the machine turned on for a long time, and also if you have a public IP address, there is a heavy chance like your system get attacked. Since this is completely testing environment and we are okay to have wide open access here, so otherwise you should be very careful choosing the security group, because this control who can access and who cannot. So I should be able to create a new one, and I think I already explained to you how to create a security group. But in our case, so it's okay to have a full wide open access. Okay, review and launch. And this is the review page, and you can read through all those things and launch. And key pair, I think I don't know whether I need to choose. Okay, so I think choose an existing. I don't know. Normally, this won't ask for the key pair. Okay, I think we can choose a HTTP admin key. So this key we already have. Let me just check in the desktop.
But Windows is not going to ask for a key, is it?
I don't know. It's all yeah. Windows, normally in Windows it should not ask. I mean, normally it won't ask, but I don't know. It's all based on the AMI. So this is all customized AMI. Some people ask
Are
customized to choose
are
this.
you using the same MI which you did last time? I remember because that's what I'm using, and it we generate the password, isn't it?
Yes, yes. It's asking just the password. It's creating at that stage. I mean, if you
Okay,
copy that here, yeah,
okay, try it. Let's see.
yeah. Let's see. Like if it's maybe here we may need this key file. We will do that. We will see. So that is what I told. Like so, this all the AM images behaves in a different way because we cannot completely guarantee because there are a lot of people who has made these changes and saved, and it's all customized for different purposes. And the base one we can choose, and we can also publish or customize this thing. So I think in Azure I tried using Packer. So there is a tool called Packer that is used for customizing these images. And you can maybe, for example, if you want to make the AMI, which is good to do with the Hadoop installation, so you can add all the prerequisites added in that EMI and save it as an EMI. So that is also available. But so AD server, we will just call it as AD server, and connecting. Go to the connect option. Uh, okay, so get the password. Okay, so this is not yet started. Okay, see, for generating the password, so we need to uh, pass that key pair, right? So key name, go to the desktop and go to the private keys. I think we need to use a PEM file here, okay? So not PPK. PPK that we use for putty, but here it's expecting PEM file and type decrypt password. So we have got the password, okay? Using that key to generate the password. Now you can just use download this remote desk file. Let me just save this password somewhere, and or else just type mstsc for a remote desktop, and you can use either this I mean the public host name or the public IP. The either will do. Okay, either this one or public IP will do. And I think this is the administrator password, right? Uh, yeah. Just to type that 30103 and connect. Option we have username, administrator, then connect. And what is the password? Here we have the password. Just copy that password and add it here. Just okay. Certificate warning. Just click yes. Okay, and few things we need to make before proceeding. One option is you can change the host name. What is that? Local server, and computer name we can change. Okay, and also there is a firewall option. Okay, so the reason is I'm just turning on off this firewall also. The reason is if you enable AD, then you should be able to communicate this AD port from the other Linux machines. So in that case, the firewall may block that. The actual thing you need to do is you need to convey this message like, so I need this AD service, okay, and also the Kerberos also we need communication. So those ports should be open in this firewall. But I'm not an expert here in the firewall configuration. What I'm doing here is just turn off this firewall service. Okay, so that will do everything in a single click. But in actual scenario, you may need to talk to the network or system administrator and get this firewall thing sorted out. So only thing they will do, they won't turn off the firewall for us. So there will be inbound and outbound rule. They will add an exception for our port, but I'm not good in configuration. Also, it may take a lot of time if in case if it's not working. So we will have to do a lot of trial and error. So the easiest way is to turn off, but it's not recommended for production. In production, you have to identify which ports you need, and based on that, you need to turn off, or I mean enable that port. And the second is if you have an option, like we have an option to change the computer name. So some people don't like this alphanumeric name, so better we will change it to some easy name like AD server, AD-server, right? So this looks good. Saving require a restart. Just restart now. Okay, so let me just connect these machines again. MSTSC, and we will check IP address is changed or not. Just refresh here. Okay, so this is the same IP address. We will connect, and the credential, it should be the same. Okay, use that. Okay, so we are able to connect. Okay, so this time we just changed our host name, and also the firewall AD server, and the firewall is also disabled. So from here you can see one briefcase and this icon. So this is a server manager, and whatever the local settings you can do on here, local server, you can see the AD server, and the firewall is turned off, and I think that's it. And here on the dashboard, what you have to do is to convert this into an AD server, just hit add roles and features. Okay, and uh, just hit next. Then choose the role based or feature based installation. That is the default one. Choose the default one. Hit next. And here, so this is asking, okay, what on which network you need to uh, server or virtual hard disk on which of the following. Okay, yeah, well, this is also the default one. Okay, so that is where you need to do those things. And what you have to do is, so first thing, Active Directory domain services you need to click. Then just click here, add features. Okay, so domain service is nothing but AD. Okay, so you need to choose Active Directory domain service. Just to hit next. Again, choose the default and go ahead. Again, next. Then the restart, if automatically if it's required, yes. Then finally hit the install button. So this take a moment to do the installation and configuration. Since we already checked that restart when it's needed, so it will make a reboot at the end of this installation or somewhere this is completed. Okay, I think the installation is over. So once this is done, you can just promote this server to domain controller. This is what we need to do. Okay, just to hit that. Then you have three options. So one is add a domain controller to existing domain. So this is something like you have an already existing AD and you are adding one more domain controller, and this is add a new domain to existing forest, then add a new forest. So we need to choose this option, add a new forest. So in maybe for example, I'm just using hadoop.com as my domain name. So you can choose anything. It's not necessary it has to use some name. It's something like your organization name or anything. Hadoop.com I choose here and hit next. So here type some password, any password. Okay, then next. Again choose the default and next. Okay, so by default this is coming NetBIOS name, this one, everything default. So here we are not making much customization. Only thing is we are just adding a new forest, adding that name, and when prompted just typing the password. And this is the review page. Just to hit next. So if everything is okay, and next step it will do a prerequisite check. Some warnings we can ignore. Maybe in our case, we will get a warning like we don't have a static IP address. Okay. Domain controllers have a default security setting, allow cryptographic. Okay. Okay, so these warnings and all we can ignore. Okay. So even though this is the warning, it's saying all these are okay. Then go ahead and hit install. Okay, so now installation is in progress, and I think okay. So this is in progress. Maybe take a few more minutes to complete. Now this is getting restarted. Okay. Okay. So this is getting restarted. Just refresh. Open the remote connecting tool, MSTSC. Then check the IP address 30103200. Connect. Maybe this time it takes some time. So maybe it's not up and running. So we will wait a few more minutes to come this online. Now this is up and running. So we will use this password, paste it here, and connect. I don't know whether okay. So by default, the problem is by default it's trying to use AD server. So what we will do, hadoop.com/ letter and use the password. You will see. So I'm able to connect the server. So now this server is up and running, and this is promoted to a AD server. So for installing AD, that's it. Uh, Once you open this server manager, you can see AD domain server is here, and on the top you have an option like tools, Active Directory, users and computers. You can just hit this from the tools, Active Directory, and this is the page we will be used for managing the user account and all. And this is the domain, and under this domain we have users here. Okay, and under users we may have the security users and group. So you can create a user here, just hitting this, right, and a new user. What I will do, I will write my name here, right, login name. So this is the name which I use, and domain name, this is the default, and type the password. Right, user must change. I'm just taking this out. Finish. So I created, so we can create the users and group, add users to the group. All those things we can do here. Okay, so this is the AD setup, and the next is we need to connect this machine with the Linux boxes. I don't know whether I'll have time to complete that today. So is AD installation is clear? And also what we will do, if you need to create a group, just go ahead and hit this group, and group name, I will just say admins. Okay, so use lowercase, and group is a global, and type is security group. Hit okay, and we can add the users to this group, members, then add. I can add my name over here, just to check. Okay, so and hit apply and okay. So now my ID is added to that group. So you can just see here, member of, this is showing admins and all. So actually we should be able to connect all our Linux machines with this AD, so that whatever the users that we create here will be visible over there. I mean, so you can use the same credential across all the machines. So what I use here is so yeah, this is the, so this is the forum which I followed to integrate. I think only a few minutes. Okay, so basically what we need here is, first you need to make sure you're able to connect this AD server properly from that machine. Okay, so and also you need to install this much packages over there, and this is something like that server detail we are adding it into etc host file, and resolve I am not going to do, and ream join, and this is the administrator, and what is the domain, or this is the server name. Okay, so then we should be able to connect. Okay, I think we have it's showing like a 25%. Let's quickly turn on one machine and quickly show that, and we'll wind up for today. Or else I think if I continue, we won't be able to render this recording. Okay, guys, what we will do, so we will continue the integration tomorrow. I'm just uh, giving this link to you. You can have a just have a look. So we will
Okay.
do it tomorrow because I have a power outage here, and I don't know, maybe it's a planned one, and it will be my power backup is having some issue, so I need to get it repaired today. So because if I continue, the problem is this video rendering will take some time, and unfortunately I lost the last week video. The first two I have that I will upload. Okay, so we will wind up for now, and we'll continue tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we will take a few more extra hours if needed. Okay.
Satish, can you please share the videos?
Yeah, sure.
Last week we missed.
Actually, last week's video I lost. Okay, so whatever the first class two videos I have, I will upload that.
Oh,
Last video I was not able to recover. So let me check, is there anything I can do, like an installation document or screenshot I can share. I will check that. This two I will do right away. Okay.
yeah, please.
Okay, so let's wind up for now, and we'll continue tomorrow.
Yes.